I can't believe I almost forgot the fertilizer injector. So this thing looks complicated, but it's really not. This is where the water comes in, this is where the water goes out. This apparatus here is what the fertilizer will go through. And it's basically just a siphoning system. So as water comes through here and I open this little valve here, this controls the water going through the main water system, okay? And then this little red switch here, which I can pop back and forth, is what turns my fertilizer on and off. So if I just want to water, don't want to fertilize, I'll shut this thing off and let the water just pass right through. If I do want to fertilize, I'll choke the water down out of here, forcing water up through this little system, open this valve, and the fertilizer will then siphon out of a jug, come up to the line, and then slowly feed into the water flow. Now, this here tells me how many gallons of fertilizer I'm gonna put on in an hour, gallons per hour. So I can put on 10, 20, 30, 40 gallons an hour if I want to. I can really move that fertilizer through. You wanna do it in moderation. You don't wanna flood the whole field with fertilizer extremely fast. You want it to soak in. So you kind of do an even distribution. And so we usually set this up with like around 15 gallons per hour, and we're gonna do 30 gallons. So we'll water this probably over a 2-hour period. I think that's somewhere about correct. And so, really simple, because like I said, I already did all the hard legwork a long time ago. I'll just open this, lay this right here. Let me get some paper towel, I'm gonna clean this off. I don't want mud and debris. Like, we only got to use this fertilizer injector like 3 times. And I don't want it to be all gunked up after the first time or second time, so I'm gonna keep stuff clean. This will plug right into there. Tighten these clamps down. I can get it. Okay, there's that. Do the same thing on this side with this one. This looks pretty clean. Like that. Close that. Close that. All right, so that is ready to go. Gotta get my fertilizer up here. Back here, it's a bunch of different valves. Pretty simple. If I want to backflush these sand filters, if I think they're very dirty, turn this one, leave that one open, and I can backflush, I think this one. Then I'll switch that one open, switch that one closed, then I'll backflush this one, and that dirty water will then run out of this line right here. If I want to just pump straight through and into the field, I'll leave them just where they're at right now. Keep this valve open. And then on this side, I've got pressure gauges at both sand filters. You want to make sure that you don't get too much pressure. If you start getting too much pressure, these things could explode, and that would be very, very bad and dangerous. So everything's got to be watched kind of carefully. And then you have 2 more gauges here, one going in and one going out. If these gauges aren't reading the same, that most likely means that your sand filters are getting clogged with dirty water and you need to backflush. It sounds like I kind of know what I'm doing. And I like to think I do for the most part. Definitely not perfect at it. But one thing I can say is that we've been doing this now for 5 to 6 years, and I'm kind of the one who started with it. And it took a lot of time to learn what I know. And I don't even know that much, I don't think. So that's step 1. Now we're gonna assume that everything in the field is just about ready to go. Besides, I gotta walk out here and finish up one more thing, which I'll show you in a second. Now it's on Dad's end to get the pump down there ready, and as soon as I give him the okay, we're gonna start this up and we're gonna get the water pumping onto the field. And then after we get that running, we make sure there's not too many leaks from the mice chewing those drip lines underneath the plastic. That's when we'll start with the fertilizer. But first, you gotta make sure everything is running okay. Now, like I said, we neglected these a little bit, and so we got the strawberries sprayed. All of these weeds are now dead, but we definitely lost plants over the summer. I don't know if it was from disease or from dry. I wanna assume more of the dry, but just look at this section here now that is all lost. And you can see the plants were big and they were nice, they were leafy, and now they're no more. The only other problem we're having is the weeds. It's just these big, like thistles, I guess we'll call them. They're dead as well, or just about dead, even though they look green. But now we should really mow them off because they're just a nuisance and in the way. But we'll worry about that later. Right now we want to get them watering because we just feel that they are extremely dry. So out here is where that blue lay flat meets the header line in the field, which right here is where it hits the drip tape. We have a valve on this side, a valve on that side. The water comes through and it spits out both sides, watering all the way down there and watering all the way over here. So now we've got another valve called a pressure regulator. Now this is going to regulate the pressure so that if we get too much pressure in the field coming from our pond, we don't absolutely just blow our lines apart. These have little, I don't know what you want to call them, inserts in them that are going to fluctuate in and out according to the pressure, trying to regulate it. Obviously that's why it's called a regulator. And so there's a mouse nest in there. There's actually a mouse in there. This is why you don't leave things in the field. How do I get them out? There he goes. Something's in the pipe. Yeah. What a nightmare. Okay, so we're gonna hope there's no mice in here. I really hope there's not, because there's not really a way to check. So I'm gonna slip this on here, like so. And the reason we have to take this out and we even unhook it in the first place is because we have to drive through here to spray. And then on this side, put this on. That. And again, after I tighten it down, we should be good to go. That's ready to go. Hope I'm not restricting that pipe with that twister on there. I'll move it down here. That'll be okay there. So now I've got a pressure gauge here, just monitoring how much I've got going in the field. Make sure my end caps are okay. Marcus has been going through and weed whacking the entire fence, which you've seen in my other videos. You can see how nice that is and nothing is touching it, which is exactly what we want, besides that vine. And so now I'm gonna head back to the Kubota, head down and see how Dad's making out with the pump. We can just never figure out strawberries because it's like, that plant is beautiful. I'm sure it's dry, but it doesn't look like there's anything wrong with it. Come over here, these ones still look good, but they don't look quite as nice. And then it's like all these ones through here died. And it's just like, what the heck? Now, we always try different varieties, and it seems like our new varieties never work. We're always hoping to find something better. We're gonna kind of, if we plant another field, go with the same varieties we always have that always work, and they usually survive, because it seems like these new varieties, what'll happen is we plant them and they do fine, and then a couple weeks go by and they just start dying off for some reason. I don't get it, but it's really bad when you start losing a lot of your field, because then it just creates weeds and it's harder to keep up with it. Like this row right here, I can tell you is not from being dry. This was a new variety we grew and it didn't do nothing like we hoped. So like, that's not from our part. That's just from maybe the strawberries not liking this kind of soil. But over there, I know that they were doing good straight on through until the summer. And I think that's when they got too dry. I don't really know. So you can hear the water flowing through. I don't want this kink in here, but I gotta figure something out. So far, everything seems to be up and running properly, trying to take as much pressure off all of the valves as possible, or just the piping. So you can see we have 20, a little over 20 on this one, a little over 20 on that one, a little over 20 on that one, and a little over 20 on that one. So that is perfect. That means we have no clogging whatsoever. Now, I can already hear the water coming. Well, it goes all the way out through and then it comes back. And these are already pumped up and they're pretty hard, meaning that we have good pressure, which is excellent. So now what I have to do is I have to go and check every line, not only at this end, but all the way out there at those big trees at the other end to make sure that the lines are pumped. If they're not pumped, what that means is that there's a mouse and it has chewed it somewhere. That's perfect. Here's another one somewhere. That one's good. This one doesn't seem pumped. Oh yeah, it's pumped. Beautiful. Now, if you take notice, we're not fertilizing anything right yet. We're just trying to make sure everything is working properly. And so far at this end, it's working beautifully. So I'm gonna go out to the middle of the field, check that pressure, make sure that's okay, and then go out to the other end and see if all those drip lines are pumped up. Well, I can hear and see a very bad problem. Looks like one of our valves blew out over here. Huh. I don't even know where it's at. That's actually not that bad though. It looks worse. Very simple fix. I just walked back to that regulator, shut off that valve, came back over here, popped this where it was leaking right back in the header line, and we're good to go. So now the whole field is operating. I'm gonna go back out to the other, or not back out, but I'm gonna go out to the other end now, check that out and make sure that is hopefully all pressurized out there. As much work as this is, setting everything up, making sure it's all operating, then dealing with the mice and the breakages of all the moving parts, I love it. It's like a game and you got to figure it all out and get it operating just the way you want it to. And we are very close right now. This is the part I'm worried about. This section from here to that header line is a lot bigger than the other one. And so if there is a mouse hole somewhere and it's not pressurized down here, that means I gotta really look hard to find it. Now this one is not pumped up yet. I hope it just didn't get out here, because neither is this one. Like I said, it's 3 or 4 times the distance than the other half of the field. And so I'm not gonna get worried. I'm just gonna wait, chill out, because literally none of these are pumped up yet. While I'm out here waiting, I did want to talk a little bit and say that if you guys are interested, we do have shirts, t-shirts, hoodies, long sleeves, crew necks on our website, bryansfarm.com. There's all sorts of different colors and sizes, so definitely go check it out. Now, because we're selling shirts at our farm market and online, because it says we have them in stock on our website, doesn't always mean we actually have them in stock here on the farm. But I'm working to try and, you know, get that all figured out and get the right numbers where they should be. And so if you do go to order one, I will definitely message you personally. And if we don't have it, and let you know that we don't, and hopefully I can work with you on another color or another size if at all possible. So I'm very sorry about that, but like I said, I'm working on that as we speak. Second off, I just wanted to say thank you to everybody who's been watching my channel and keeping up with it. You know, me and my family work really hard to do everything we do here. You know, we work 6 to 7 days a week. We actually work 7 days a week, but we try not to work all day on Sunday, which is like the 7th day. And so we appreciate you guys watching and subscribing and just following along with us through this whole process, because, you know, it's definitely a journey and it takes a lot of effort to not only do what we do, but then to also get it all on camera and produce it out to you guys. So it makes it all worth it when, you know, I just see those numbers going up and seeing those comments of you guys enjoying everything that's going on here. So with that being said, if you are watching and haven't subscribed, definitely subscribe to the channel. We hit 50,000 subscribers, which is just mind-blowing, and I couldn't even imagine hitting 100,000, but let's try and get there. So it's crazy how long it took for the water to get out here, but probably around 15 minutes after it hit the other end, it finally hit out here. And there's not as much pressure because it's going such a longer distance, but there is water in there, and that's what I'm going for. I've checked every row. I couldn't find the drip tape to this one, so I'm gonna look for that now. And then the 2 rows over there do not have any pressure yet. But besides that, the rest of them do. So 3 out of 12, I'll take it. And I'm hoping this one is pumped up as soon as I can find it here. All right, I found it. And there's pressure there. So now it's down to 2. Now these guys are dead. Dead. Now we walk. It's nice that it's only 2 rows, and it does seem weird that it is only these 2 rows. Like maybe the valve is shut off up at this end and I didn't see it. Who knows? So I dug up the drip tape here and here and have water in both spots, and I'm not that far from the end. So that's good. I just don't know why the ends aren't pumped up, but it makes my job a lot easier now. Eventually, the water pressure did get out to the other end, and now Dad and I are here mixing up the fertilizer. Because it's such a large field, we need a lot of fertilizer, and we want it to mix in really well, so while Dad's pouring, I'm mixing constantly. That way, you don't have any chunks, because if you have chunks, then it's not going to get the perfect ratio, and you're not going to be fertilizing like you think you are. And so you can even see once he gets a big chunk there, Dad even tries to bust it up, and hopefully make it smaller so that way it'll dissolve. So we've had the water running for about 45 minutes. We brought our barrel up, as you just seen, and got our bags of fertilizer mixed into the water. Now we've got our suction line in the barrel of fertilizer, and we're ready to start pumping it through the line and through the drip and then onto the field. And so how this works is I will now open this valve, which I just did, this little red one. And now I'll close this, and watch as I close this, that little float is going to start to come up. Give it a second. Here it goes. I can hear it coming now. And just like that, this will turn green here in a second too. Oh, there it goes. Back it back down. It's very touchy. And just like that, now we are siphoning the water out of that barrel through the line. You can see how it's green there, or kind of see. Coming through here, this water is now forced up through this little line, sucking it out of there, through, and to the field. So this has been going for like 4 hours now. We're gonna see if all of the pressure gauges are still the same, meaning that it's not really clogged up with any debris. So that's at like 30. That's at like 28, 29, close enough. Coming in is like 29 and going out is like 28, 29. So we are golden. We're about to shut it down. Like you already seen, fertilizer is emptied, flushed out. And what we're gonna do is back flush this though before we shut it down, just because we don't wanna leave, if there is any debris in there, over the winter. This is really simple. Like I was saying, this is my back flush line. So when I open this valve, hopefully I don't bust it. And then I open this. Now you can see the water flowing out. And so I'll let that do that for a couple minutes. It does look a little bit brown. I don't know if that's just the pond water or if that's the actual back flushing. I'll see if it gets clearer or not. Got a little bit clearer, but that's just the pond water. Let it go for a little bit. That should be good. Shut one down, open one up. This one looks really clear. Oh, now it's getting brown, or browner. Yeah, there it goes. Makes me feel better when it turns brown, because then you know it's definitely back flushing. You're getting that scum out of there, and they're doing their job. I might even do it again just because this will be the last time for the winter.